Okay, so as usual, I want you to log in to both sides. So you log in your server, and also you should have your Android devices with you. So you can have your mobile apps with you. So let's connect. So let's interact. Let's go to the mobile app, and then we will come back to the server. Okay, I'm not so sure which screen you're seeing. Okay. So if you're, I think I'm sharing both. I'm sharing two screens, but if you're seeing my mobile app, kindly confirm so that I know what I'm doing. I'm not so sure what I'm doing here. Okay, perfect. Nice. So you should be seeing the mobile app. Okay. So there's the configure with QR code. Uh, we're not doing that, so we'll do the manually entering the project details. So if you click on manually enter the project details, so we need the URL. Okay, and then the username is the username for your server, the one that I think emphasized during the first class. Make sure you remember your username and also remember your password. So I recommend the URL that I've shared in the class or subgroup, the one for European Union. So let's just work with theirs first. I hope it works. So we just copy pasting. If you're moving faster, or once you log in, you can report on the comment section, because I also want you to do whatever I'm doing here is also what I want you to do there. And it's funny because actually what we're doing in class here is what most of you'll be doing with your research assistant. So assuming today you're told roll out a program out there, if it's a survey, at some point you'll have to conduct training for your research assistant before they go maybe to their respective field. And if you're doing it virtual, I think you'll be doing the same job that I'm doing right now, because now you'll have to make sure all your research assistants, wherever they are, they should know this process of keying in the URL and also keying in the username and password. Okay, so I think this is also a nice chance for both of us to learn a few things, so that the challenge you're going to face here in class might be the challenge that you will also face maybe when you have a team that you're guiding. So I'm going to key in my username. I think I'm one of the victims. I don't remember my password, but I think in a few minutes time I should be able to know. But do on your side. So you have the URL, you have your username, and you also have your password. So log in. You can do better than me. Okay, so once you've entered your credential, I think the next option is to add. Okay. Hmm. So, like I said, the a lot has really been happening. So I think the interface has changed. I'm not so sure, but yeah, if you recall what you're seeing at the moment, and maybe what was on the video that I shared, it looks a little bit different. But I think the logic is still the same. Like you need to understand what are the process. So we need to connect to our server, like we link our server, and then we download the form that we have been coding. Let me see. Perfect. So if you go to the right top corner where you're seeing the name of your profile, there's an option of settings. So go to the right top corner, and then there's an option of settings. I think we have server. Okay, perfect. I think that's the credential that we're using. So I think later is when we can go through some of these features, like now form management and so forth. Okay. And also we'll discuss a little bit about the role of setting an admin password and how you can introduce some constraints so that maybe you regulate on the level of access, like uh, what can a research assistant do on their side. So assuming they have you've given them maybe the credential for the server, like the username, the password, because you're the one who created the server. So if you've given them those credentials, then again you can regulate on what they can be able to see from their face. So let me go to the option of download form. So remember we said what? We need to access your server so that you download that form that you have coded. And then once you download, then you can roll out the process. So go to the option of download form, and then uh, let's work with the need assessment. Let's work with the need assessment, and then maybe later we can be able to also see the RBA. I'm really curious on how you were able to work on the RBA. So I think there are those who are saying the issue of counting. If you recall, we talked about province and county, and then some of you are saying you can list all the counties. So I'm really curious to also see what you guys are doing on your side. So right now, what you're seeing, I'm able to see all the forms that are in my questionnaire. Sorry, that are in my server. Okay. So if you recall again in my first class, I said what? As a consultant, you can be working with different organizations. And if you have the autonomy of rolling out all their programs, then you can just have one server, like what you're seeing on my side. I have one, but now I'm dealing with different organizations. Okay. So it's not a must that every survey that I'm doing, I go and create a specific server for that process. I hope I'm saying something that makes sense here. So I do, we can select all of it. Let's just down. Okay, let's go step by step so that maybe you'll be able to learn. So let's pick just the need assessment of Garissa County. For those who managed to code that, we're using the need assessment at first, and then we'll come back for RBA. So I'll get selected. I'm prompted that all the downloads are successful. Kindly report on your side. Am I alone, or you have also managed to successfully download your, what do you call them, your form? I want to hear something from your side.
A question, sir.
Immaculate?
Yeah,
Okay.
I was using the RBA schedule, and when I go to download, it tells me I did not key, it's asking whether I keyed in my URL properly. But if I go direct to the form where they're saying start a form, then the form shows up. So I don't know what that difference means, because when I go to download, it doesn't download, it's asking me whether I keyed in the right URL. But when I go to start a new form, then the form surfaces.
Okay. That start a new form, I think it's an issue a new feature that I'm also, but I know what it means. I think it will make sense. Like if I just put my brain on it, we can also understand what it means. But first thing first, like make sure you, before you even talk about another form or any other new thing, you need to have a successful integration between the mobile app and our server. Where I am at the moment, as you can see, it says what all downloads have successfully been processed. Why? Because the URL that I've used, and I think there's an issue with URL because from my knowledge and what I understand as far as tech is concerned, it seems now we have different servers for different countries. That's why the one we're using now is for European Union. Maybe even in future we might be blocked from even using this one. Okay, I don't want to sound controversial, but I'm sure you're getting the point. That means we have different servers. So how do you access these different servers? You need to get the right URL, because that's the path that will take you to your correct server. So based on this advice, we have said what? Let's use this URL that I've just keyed in, which is a bit different. Okay? Just in case you'll face any challenges using this KC dash European Union Kobo toolbox. I was even advising during our first class that you can even write down the what do you call it, the name, so that you don't forget it. So if you have done exactly, the URL is like what you're seeing on your screen, username is what you understand better, also your password, then just go back, and then now we download a form. So don't go to start a new form. We have not yet touched there. Okay.
So for me,
But
when
if
I
you
use
want us
the
to go there, we will go together.
sir, when I use the
Yes,
URL that you given us just now, the EU, it's asking me that question whether I have keyed in correctly. But when I remove the EU, then it's able to download my form.
okay. Uh, how do you know it has downloaded your form?
Because the form, I can now access my form, the form that I had, the RBA form. I can now, when I say download, it is bringing me the form, but without the EU on the URL. But if I put the EU, then it's asking me whether I keyed in correctly or not.
Okay, that's a good one. Actually, it makes sense to me, unless your colleagues will want to dive in. So I think you can use multiple links, because I think even me initially, I think I had already shared with you this first link. Okay, so I think if you have created your user account on the global server, the URL is the one without the EU. So it seems you are the server that you're using. I don't want to confuse anyone about these server stories and stuff. Okay, so if it doesn't make sense to you, just chill. But the discussion we're having with the Immaculate is, there's the first link, which doesn't have the European Union, and based on this information that I'm seeing here, when it means you're using a server called global server, and if it works, I have no problem with you. Then it's good. So don't change anything. If it works on your side with removing the EU, then wait for me until we start filling in the form. Okay. For the rest of the team,
Yes.
follow my lead. And I've said that right now we are using the URL that I've just presented. Key in your username and your password. And please, I want to know who has successfully managed to log in. apart from me and Immaculate, because Immaculate has just confirmed he's downloading his form. So we are the three of us. You can see Benedict is successful. Yes, Kikech. Benedict.
Just confirming that I have logged in.
Perfect. Perfect.
Kate and
So
Bernadette is
we're three of us. Noted. So I don't know what the rest are doing, because this thing you'll not watch. You have to do as I do, and maybe tomorrow we might not have the entire day to discuss this thing. Valerie, I think you had written something on the chat box. It seems I've lost the conversation, but I don't know if you have managed to log in on your side. Because again, I don't want to move alone. I can just be demonstrating to you guys, and we call it a day. But it's good when I also learn from your challenges.
I'm just unable to log into my form using my login. So I'm just trying because they're the same logins. I didn't change them. So I'm just trying. Once I'm successful, I'll tell you.
Perfect. What about the rest? You can see Michael, Cyrus. What's happening on your side? Or today you're just spectating?
And I have an iPhone. I was trying to see whether I can get the app.
Now you people, I'm told you normally buy everything, including your applications. So, yeah, I think if you're using iPhone, then again, you'll have to do some research. I'm not so sure if I am aware of. Does it make sense to conduct a survey using iPhones? Like you're giving your research assistant iPhones?
Yeah, well, I don't think so.
or I'm playing local, but of course you understand what I mean. Like if you want to roll out a survey and maybe you're using organization phones, I don't think it's cost effective to say you're buying iPhones for all the research assistant so that you roll out the process. So Michael is confirming is okay. Then let's see what you can do then. I believe all of us, at least we're having an idea of what we're doing here. So once you download your form, it means now you have successfully connected to your server. So for me, I will download the need assessment. So again, now that I'm doing it for the second time, so remember I mentioned a little bit about deploying, and I said if you make changes in your server or in your form, and then you deploy, if something again happens that now it has warranted you to make changes again in your form in the server, then you'll tell your research assistant to download, and then they will need to refresh. That's why you're seeing there's an option of either refresh or get. So every time they're doing a new thing, they need to make sure they follow the same process again after they have deleted the initial form that they had already selected. This is a success. And now I will go to, so I have option of ready to send, draft, okay. So I think we need to get an option of fill a blank form, because right now I don't have an option of fill a blank form. So, okay. Now you can go to start a new form. I think that's the changes they're having. Now you see the form that you have downloaded. So that means what you're doing right now, we have started the process of collecting data. So this is the form that if you are doing it manually, you would have maybe given somebody a piece of paper. So you're having now an electronic form. So if I open it, now the logic was, the first thing is the research assistant has to identify themselves. Okay, so that means I will log in as George. So at least if there's a data manager seated somewhere now observing on the server, they will know that now the submission that is coming will automatically come from George. Okay, but again, there's a way we will see at the server side that you can instruct the server to steal, not really to steal, but to provide for you information like now the serial number of this phone that I'm using, even if you want the phone number for the SIM card. So there's a lot of details, including even the IME of that phone. So we'll also see what are some of these metadata that you can also extract using the server. So once you select your name, so you just go to next. So this is the note whereby now you can read out what is the purpose of that survey. Of course, we talked a lot about the introduction part. So you will go to next. So of course, the introduction part was not a question. As you can see now, there's nowhere somebody is supposed to fill in any details. So you just read out that note, and then now you go to the consent part, whereby now you say, are you willing to participate in the survey? So if they say no, we agreed that now the logic that we have, it should enable us to go to the last part, because we say terminate the process because this person is not willing to participate in the survey. So if I go to next, I'm expecting, now you see, that means I have an issue with my logic because I have not connected my section 3 very well. So now these are the challenges. So let's do it practical, because I said in an event that now I have again to go back to my server and make sure that every time somebody said no to the consent question, then they are not supposed to see any other question except the question on providing the GPS coordinates. That's the logic that I understand. So let's fix that. I don't want to work with any form that has issues. So I'll go back to my server. So I'll go back to my server. Now I need to fix on the section 3 of the question, and then I redeploy and now refresh again also on my app. So it was need assessment. Then I can edit my form. I have an issue with section 3. So what is the issue? I have to say the entire question under section 3 to be displayed only if somebody consent. So I'll go to skip logic. And now the condition will be, if in the question, are you willing to participate in the survey? If somebody said yes, that is when now they'll be able to see the entire section called need assessment. So now that I've made that changes, I will save my work. Once I'm prompted that I've successfully updated my form, then just close it and then deploy. So we said, what does deploy mean? To deploy basically means you're positioning that form now to be in a place whereby now Android devices or mobile phones or other devices can be able to access it. And now we say there are two ways. If you send the link to your form, like we've been using, somebody can be able to access your link. Or you can now use a mobile app, which we're doing today. So once I've done that, I'll redeploy. Of course, I'll be prompted that if I redeploy, it means I will override the existing provisions that were there, of which I want that. So I want to override what was there. And of course, this action cannot be undone. So I will click OK. And then now I'll go to my app. So let's go back again to the app. By now you should be seeing the mobile app. So I will repeat the whole process. So I'll discard the form. Now I need to download a new one. So before I download a new one, first I'll have to delete that initial form that I had downloaded. I hope I'm not losing anyone here. So I'll go to delete form and then blank form. So this is the blank one that I was about to fill. So I will delete that. And I will go back and download a new one. And hopefully this one should not have an issue with the consent part. So I'll go to, I just want to work with one, so I'll collect the need assessment. That's the only one I want. Let me refresh first before I even say get selected. So I'll go to okay, what am I doing? So let me delete any blank form. So I just want to make sure I have the correct form. So I've just deleted everything, and then let me download another one. But before I make sure I'm downloading, then I'll have to click on the refresh so that I have to get the latest one. Okay, so I've managed to refresh and I'm seeing the same items that are in my server. Now I can get the need assessment. And then let's go and now start filling in the form. So I've downloaded that. Now let me go to start a new form. Perfect. So you can see my name. I'm not responding on the introduction. Am I willing? Let me say no. And if I perfect. So as you can see, now my consent is working. Now that I say no, it takes me to the end. But I think I don't have GPS coordinates. As you can see now, it says what? I have an option of either I can save this form as a draft or I can finalize. And of course, if I finalize, it means I'm ready to send now that form to the server. So let me quickly again make a slight adjustment. I add GPS coordinates in the same form. So this is the same form. After question 3, I will add a new question. But now I'm having this question outside the Valerie.
Hi, George. Hello, can you get me?
Yes, I can hear you. Proceed.
Yeah, I just wanted to take you back and just to ask you, what did you do when you are seeing the other questions, yet you saw, if you respond to the answer, are you willing to participate? No, you should be able to see the other section. I didn't get you on that part.
Uh, so the idea is, I think I had made a mistake with my logics because I remember I mentioned that the logic has to make sense. If you do something a bit off, then it means it will direct your respondent in a different path. As you saw on my side, the respondent said no, they're not willing to participate in the survey. But when I go to the next question, I think it was introducing now the section 3. So I said I need to go back to my server, and now I adjust the logic for the entire section 3. So I went to the setting part and then skip logic and introduce now again the logic which says what? If in the consent question somebody said yes, that is the only time that the entire section 3 will appear. Okay, and then I think I'm about to do again the same process. So let me create a new question called location. I hope you can see my screen. I'm now using the server. So I'll introduce a question called location, which I'll have it as a GPS. So when I go to add question, I'll have it as a point. But now that will be the last thing that will be observed. So again, let's see if I'm still on track. So I said once you've made adjustment to your server, I think Valerie, we can move together now from here. You can save your changes. So we're still at the server part. So save your form and then close. And then now go to your phone. Okay. Oh, but no, before you go to the phone, make sure you redeploy because you've made you've made some changes. So redeploy and then click OK. Once you've redeployed, that means now there's some changes that has happened in the form. So again, go back to your application. Okay. Okay. So let's download again the procedure for adjusted form. So let me discard this form. I don't want to save it. Okay, so as usual, let me download, let me delete again. So I'm repeating this thing deliberately because I said this is what your research assistant needs to get comfortable with once they're dismissed now to roll out the survey process. They should be in a position to be deleting their forms as many times as possible. So in case of any changes and you have released them to the field, nobody is now saying I don't know what to do, what and what. So if I go and again download a new form, I'll also refresh so that I get the latest form. So I will click on refresh. And then now again, I'll stick to the need assessment. So you can also see that you're prompted. This is an update to a form you have. So it's good that you get such prompt. Benedict?
Excuse me, George. How did you delete the previous form?
There's I think the last option is delete form. Then go to blank forms.
Thank you.
So you delete and then refresh, go back, download a new one. Okay, so I'll get a new one. So what am I expecting this time? The consent should work. Once I start a new form, I select a blank one. I'll proceed with the same process. So I'll start with, and if I say no, now the logic works because now I'm taking, like the last thing is just collect the geo point and terminate the entire process. So as far as I'm concerned, I think my form is in order. Valerie?
Okay, when I say no, I'm still seeing section 1. I don't know why I'm seeing that. Description of the assessed population, that question.
But it means go to your server and then again concentrate on that question. Check how if you have introduced any logic before in that question. Now go to the server. I think the issue is now on the server side. Okay, so
George, I've just introduced, I can see I have the condition, but it's still coming up, so I don't know why.
so there are two things. So if you have made the correct adjustment in the logic, because I know there's an issue with your skip logic, that's why you're still seeing that question appearing, then make sure again you save the changes. Once you make changes on the server, the issue is just save and then redeploy. And then also come and do the same using now the mobile app. Make sure you refresh so that you get the latest form. Okay. So it's a step-by-step process, and that's why I said if you're not doing as I do, you might realize that now when you're alone, now things start not working, and we have a history of that. Like sometimes, not really sometimes, most of the time, when we are together in a class, you see things are moving smoothly. But give yourself some time, and then you come and do it alone. It becomes something else, and even worse is when you have now pressure. So let's talk about the geo points. I'd initially proposed that you wait until the accuracy level of the GPS coordinates stands to a radius of up to 10 meters. So how do you achieve these 10 meters easily? One, you can always recommend that your research assistants should not be maybe inside a building. So when you're out there at a more like an open field or somewhere like outside a building, it will be much easier for the satellite to connect, and now also achieving that 10 meters radius, it will be easier. So don't do it when you're inside a house or inside a building. I think that will improve on the accuracy. So perfect. So I can see most of you are doing well. So just go again to the geolocation. When you're prompted to enable GPS, of course you want to do that. So right now I'm in a building, so I hope I can be able to achieve again the accuracy as fast as possible. And then again, this is where we say you don't want to do this process of GPS connection like what I'm doing at the moment. Nice. I'm seeing I'm seeing even nowadays we have red in color, like some you even have some prompt saying unacceptable accuracy. Like right now I'm doing 2,200 meters, so that is something else. Why am I doing 2,000? If you see there, the satellite is there's no any satellite that is around me. Okay, so let's do it again. I hope this time all of us are here with me. So I've just make sure that my consent is working. For those who I think for the guys who have just joined in the class, I think the session is being recorded. Hopefully you'll be able to maybe catch up later. So we're doing the consent and making sure the consent is linked to the end part of the survey. Remember we said if somebody doesn't want to participate in the survey, at least the research assistant should be able to collect the location where the process was being done. Okay, so if I go to next, now that's the location. So we just said what? You inform your research assistants to wait until they achieve an accuracy level that is lower than 10 meters radius. Okay. So I think on my side, you can see I've already achieved 3.9, which is really good. So it means if I use those coordinates, I can be able to tell exactly the house or the place where I am. So it's very accurate with that point. So I'll go to next. And then the next thing is just now to finalize the process, because that's what we said. Terminate the survey, but collect the GPS and send that location where you are maybe not able to conduct a survey. So I'll finalize. And then once you finalize, you have been prompted that your form was saved. So again, when you have maybe a research, depending with where you're conducting your survey, so you realize all this process that you've been doing, you don't need internet. So your research assistants, if they're out there at the field, they don't need an internet for them to do what we have done up to this point. But for them now to send these questionnaires that have already been filled, they will need an internet. So there are two ways of going about it. You can maybe, if you trust your people, then you can tell them, how about you collect your data, and then maybe at the end of the day, when you have maybe you're done with your data collection process, and maybe they are now in a position to access internet, because sometimes somebody will tell you, I didn't have internet, which is okay. So you can say maybe at the end of the day is when now they can maybe connect with the internet and now send those forms to you. I said that is if you trust them. But if you don't trust them, then let them send each form. Once somebody filled a form, akimaliza, let them send to you. So it's up to you now to gauge which one works best for you. Do you want all these forms to be sent at the end of the survey, at the end of the day, or every time somebody finishes a form, let them send? So I will click ready to send. Now I need to submit one form. So I'll go to the need assessment. So there's that one form I've just successfully filled. And as you can see, it even there's a time frame that is provided for me there. It says what? Finalized on Monday, July 15th at exactly 8:05. So things like now the timestamp is also captured by the phone. So these are now the advantages we talked about of electronic platform as compared maybe to the traditional one. So I will send selected. Perfect. And I'm prompted that the process has been a success. So click OK. And now maybe you can now go to the second person. So you can go again and say start a new form. This time I want this guy to say yes, they're willing to participate in the survey. Then we see if they will be able to see all the question. So again, I'll opt for George. Of course, that's a note. If I say yes, they're willing to participate in the survey. Now the next question is now the variables that the survey is interested in. Okay. So I will click on urban. Maybe it's a male. So you don't even need to use the next. You can just swipe the same way you normally swipe your phone to use different interface. So just swipe to go next. Maybe you're a host community. So there are some of the things that I might not be able to cover in this class, but now that is a continuation of now you as a student. As you can see, even me, 6 years down the line, you can see today I'm learning something new. So what I'm saying is, my job is not to make you a perfect researcher. No, my job is just to show you there's something called Kobo, and there are 1, 2, 3 that you can be able to do with Kobo. So you, as a now an expert, 2 years from now, Kobo might not be the same as the way it was last year. So make sure you also go and figure out some of the things maybe that I have not covered here. Okay, and then maybe if now you have a specific area, then maybe that is something we can discuss. So let's talk about the other specify. I think that's another area that you need to make sure your logics are working. So we said this one is a single select question on the profession. So if somebody clicks on teacher, they're not supposed to also be able to click on health worker. So I think that is working well. And in the event that somebody clicks other, the next thing they need to see is the option of specify, nothing else. But in an event that they don't click on other, they should not be able to see that thing called specify, because it doesn't make sense to select something and then you don't click on it. Uh, what's the progress? What is happening on? I don't know at what point I left you guys, but I believe right now most of you should be go, or if you're facing any challenge, let me know so that we go back again to the server and we see again what are the interaction you can do on the server side as long as your app is working well. Anyone with any challenge so far? So if there are no challenge, I believe right now you know how to collect the GPS coordinates. You know how to organize now the logics perfectly well. Now, let's see from my side. Okay, I'm working towards sharing my screen. So in a few, we should. You let me know once you see something on your side. Okay. So I want you guys to have at least a submission. So how do you know if you have submitted something? So if you go to your server, and it's my hope that at least now you should be seeing something on your side. So at the moment, you're seeing 0 submission at the right top corner of my server. Even though using the phone, I had submitted some response. So what do I need to do? Let me refresh. So again, if you're at the manager side, because I remember I said we have two sides of all this process. There's what is happening with the research assistant on the field, and then there's what is happening now with the data manager. And as a data manager, you can trace all the information that you can not really trace, but you can monitor everything that is coming your way. Okay, so I've just refreshed my server, and now if you check on the top corner, I have now one submission. Okay, so I want to see this submission. How do I go about that? So there are four things you're seeing here. There's an option of summary, which this is not a new area, but if you go to summary, you can see some sort of information. I'm told that on the 15th of July, there's one submission that is there. So this is more like a summarized report for you so that you know what you have achieved. So everything about the form that I'm using or the survey that I'm actually doing, I'll be able to see it on the summary side. This is the form. So we're not editing the form. We're not deploying the form. But if I go now to the option of data, you can see that now under table, so you'll be seeing your data as a table. So there's this one submission that is here already. So if you want to know the research assistant name, okay, I'm not so sure if you are seeing my screen, Zuri, but as you can see, now I have the research assistant name all the way down. So what are the options that you have? There's the table, which is more like at least a brief summary of how people, what I can get with the GPS. So I said what, as a data manager, you can be able to trace the information where they're coming from. So for me, I think I've already submitted one. And now how do I want to see this map? So there are several options that you can opt for. So if you go here, the second icon in between the settings part and expanding to full screen. So I can be able to select the ESRI world imagery. And now you can see I can trace exactly where I've submitted that form. So you can, what do I want to do? So you can either zoom in, zoom out, you see the demographic. But again, also you're good because for those maybe who are into GPS, not really GPS, yes, what do you call them? The GIS and mapping. So again, if you're working with an organization that maybe they have expert in geo mapping and maybe they want to go further and visualization with the mapping, they can now download the coordinates, which the next thing I think we'll have to see is now, how do you download your data so that you go to the utility part? So as you can see, now this is where I am at the moment. Okay, and I've already submitted my form. So as a what do you call it? As a data manager, if you want to know how now this response is all about, if you just double click on that point, if you double click on it, a preview of that entire form will be displayed, and now you can skim through and then you see if it's up to standard or not. So what are some of the details that has been captured in this form that I've submitted? You can see the start time is captured. So of course the first thing is the location, which is the GPS coordinates. So I have both the latitude and the longitude, and also the accuracy of 3.9. And then the start time and end time of the survey, I think I've used 3 minutes. I don't know what that means, but now the whole process was around 3 minutes. Now I've not been able to collect the date, username, device ID, phone number, and also the audit. So those are some of the information that you can also request the server to extract for you. But again, I'm not here to start tracing people or following people's devices, but I'm sure now you know the power that you have in your hand. So if I close that, so among we have other option. I think this one is I'll leave you to have fun. So at your own free time now, start iterating interacting with some of these interface, so that you also just be curious, like what does this thing do? So you go and maybe see the different images that you can be able to generate with your mappings. You can also do heat maps. Now, if you're an expert and you know how to do the interpretation with your heat maps, then that's where you go. So that is as far as the map is concerned. So I said what, apart from mapping, you can also download now your file. So if you have conducted this survey and now you have around maybe 2,000 forms with you, so the next stage is what? You need maybe to go and now you do your analysis. So if you know SPSS, you know Stata, or whatever now tool you have for data analysis, all you have to go is now on the downloads. And on the downloads now, you can select now the file format that you want to download. So if you go to select export type, now you can select, do you want a CSV? Of course, now you need to know what type of file are you downloading. For instance, you know very well CSV stands for comma separated values. So when you download that file, it comes as a string. And of course, now as an analyst, you will now again need to understand what are the process, what does it take for you maybe to work with a string file. Okay, now that is what we're doing now in data analysis classes, whereby you say, are you working with XLS, which you know both XLS and CSV are Excel file, but one of them is, it will come as a string, that means they have commas, and then another one will come as maybe numerics, and then you see how to go about that. So you can also do GeoJSON. So maybe for, if there's anyone who's a programmer here, then you will know what JSON file means. SPSS is there for you. So of course, SPSS is one of the common data analysis tools. As you can see, they even provide for you an option to download as an SPSS file. I think you can also just extract the GPS coordinates in form of KMLs. Now these GPS coordinates are the ones that now you can take it to maybe a GIS software. Again, that is beyond my pay grade. I'm not a geo person, but now with them they can be able to use the GPS coordinates to come up with the better mapping. I think you can also do So on the image and media part, like I said, there's a what do you call it? Like you need to not get yourself in trouble by just taking someone's photo. Okay. But again, as a researcher, think about it this way. If you're doing, for instance, the WASH questionnaire that you're having there, you realize you might go out there and then you ask someone, where do you guys go, or where's the defecation infrastructure? Like, do you guys have toilets? At the village level, somebody will say, yes, we have toilets. But if you check, it's just some sticks somewhere. So maybe if you're the one in charge of such a research, maybe you might require, you tell your research assistant, now if somebody confirms that they have a toilet in their home or in their homestead, how about you take a photo of that facility, so that now it will help with the analysis, so that you don't sit in Nairobi and then everyone says in their village they're having toilets, and then one day you decide to go there, you're finding now the toilets they were talking about are just maybe not in that good condition. So you can also be able to download those media. Okay. On audio, let me just mention it briefly because I know we are winding up on these classes. So at some point, when you are having a lot of open-ended questions, you not only just collect those information as text. Sometimes you can even collect them as audio. Why am I saying this? If you're doing maybe a focus group discussion, you realize if you're doing an interview and maybe you ask someone a question, your research assistant will not catch up by texting or writing down what their respondents are saying. Of course, word of mouth and texting, you cannot do that in the same speed. So what am I saying? If you're finding that you are asking for an open-ended type of question, then you will make it as maybe audio, so that during the process whereby the respondent is now giving you their answer, their words are being recorded. I hope I'm not confusing anyone. Then now that recording, it will help a lot during analysis because you can transcribe the audio, and then now that audio you can now take it maybe for NVivo, because now NVivo is the software tool for analyzing qualitative data. So there's a lot of cross-cutting skills here that maybe, like I said, you will have to build up upon them as you move forward. I'll take question because today I think I'll be leaving you guys early. I have another class in the next 5 minutes. So let me take question or concern up to this point. But I'll leave you with you now make sure you have managed to connect your phone and your server, and then tomorrow, which will be my final class with you guys, I think we will try and see what you have done so far with the RBA questionnaire, because I know it has a lot of skip logic. Immaculate?
Thank you so much, sir, for the knowledge you have disseminated into us. I just want you to help me if I'm sharing this particular questionnaire, because I tried to share sharing link. I want to send this questionnaire to somebody by email. What am I supposed to do? I got stuck there.
So if you're seeing my screen, you only need to just come
Yes.
at the option of form, and then you will copy from here. But make sure now on this part of collect data, I think it should be on online, offline. Okay, so because it says what? This allows online and offline submission and is the best option for collecting data in the field. So make sure you opt for that one, the online, offline, multiple submission, and then now come and copy this URL. There's an option of copy. Also make sure you allow submission to this form without a username and a password. So we say this now will enable the person who's responding, the one you have sent their email, they don't need to create a Kobo account for them to fill in details for you. They're just there as a respondent. Okay. So I think that's the procedure. And then if you want to see, maybe to preview what you're about to send as email, you can go to the option of open. Okay. So always preview your work before you send to someone, so that you don't send something that has issues. Guys, see, let me disappear for today, and then tomorrow we finalize. So if you have any questions or some AOBs, but so far from my end, if you have really followed through what I've been telling you and you've watched the video I've shared, you don't even need me tomorrow. By now you should be preparing yourself now to roll out a serious work out there. So let me stop there for tonight, and I wish you all the best, and we proceed tomorrow.
So even if we don't meet tomorrow, sir, allow us to contact you anytime we are stuck somewhere along the journey.
I'm still in the WhatsApp group, so disturb me.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, good night, everyone.